Hey everyone, welcome back and thank you for joining me live as we dig into another wave of updates shaking up the entire Social Security landscape, because it feels like every single day something new is coming down from Washington, and so many Americans, especially our seniors, our disabled community, and folks living on fixed incomes, are trying to figure out how they're supposed to keep up when grocery prices climb, rents get higher, utilities jump every season, and now federal programs are shifting in ways that affect the most vulnerable. Today we're talking about Social Security, the upcoming cost of living adjustment that many people have been waiting for, the cuts that are about to show up in SNAP benefits for millions of families, the push to close or reduce visits at Social Security field offices, and even new proposals moving through Congress that could directly impact retirees, children, and people dealing with fraud. So as we get into everything, I want to acknowledge those of you in the chat who have been sharing your stories about living on fixed monthly checks that no longer stretch far enough. I see so many messages from seniors saying they're choosing between a full grocery trip or paying for medications, choosing between keeping the house warm or putting gas in the car, choosing which bills get paid first because everything is just too expensive. These updates matter because they hit real people who are already stretched thin. And for so many older Americans who depend on Social Security as their primary or only income, every change feels personal and every dollar feels heavier than ever. And before we go deeper, I want to welcome anyone joining for the first time to the Truth Lens community, where we break down the complicated government updates and economic changes in a way real people can understand, especially those who depend on Social Security, disability benefits, or federal assistance programs to survive. This channel is all about bringing clarity to what's happening, sharing what everyday people are experiencing, and creating a space where seniors who spent their entire lives working, paying taxes, raising families, and contributing to this country can hear information that actually includes them. Seniors remind us every day that they built this nation, and yet many feel like they've been left behind, living month to month on Social Security checks that don't match today's cost of living. When we talk about COLA increases, SNAP decreases, office closures, or new rules from Washington, we're not talking about abstract concepts. We're talking about whether someone can fill their fridge, whether an older adult can afford their heart medication, whether a disabled senior can pay rent and still have enough to eat, whether a grandmother can stretch her benefits to support herself and maybe help a grandchild. So shout out to everyone in here sharing your struggles, your stories, your comments, your fears, and your frustrations, because you are the reason these conversations matter. Now let's get into the big update about the Social Security cost of living adjustment, which a lot of people are expecting to see at the end of this month. While Social Security payments are set to rise, millions of people who depend on SNAP, also known as food stamps, are going to see their benefits drop. This is one of those situations where the government increases income on one side and then immediately pulls support on another side, and it hits low-income households the hardest. Seniors who already rely on every dollar from Social Security are now being told that because their COLA increase raises their income slightly, their SNAP benefits will go down. And for many households, the SNAP reduction can feel larger than the COLA increase itself. The projected COLA increase is around 2.8% for 2026, which comes out to an average of about $56 a month for many recipients. But those who rely on both Social Security and SNAP may see their food assistance decrease at the same time. The Department of Human Services has already stated that the increase in reported income can reduce or even eliminate SNAP benefits for some families. And for people living on SSI or SSDI, the monthly reporting rules continue to apply, meaning any change in income, resources, or living arrangements must be reported. Seniors have been telling me for years that these types of adjustments always feel like one hand gives and the other hand takes away, leaving them back where they started or even worse off than before. Another major shift is happening with Social Security field offices, which could have a huge impact on seniors who rely on in-person help to navigate their benefits. Social Security wants to reduce the number of visits to field offices by half in the 2026 fiscal year. Last year, around 31 million people visited these offices across the country, but the new goal is to cut that number down to about 15 million. This push is coming from a strategy that encourages people to handle more tasks online, things like checking claim status, updating information, or using digital Social Security number services. Officials say they're not closing offices, but the shift toward technology has already raised concerns. Senator Elizabeth Warren publicly criticized the plan, saying that reducing office visits is essentially another way to make it harder for Americans to access the benefits they've earned. A lot of seniors agree because many older Americans don't have easy access to computers, don't feel comfortable with online systems, or simply prefer speaking to a human being who can help them understand their benefits. Seniors who are dealing with vision problems, mobility issues, or who simply aren't familiar with navigating government websites are understandably worried that digital-only services will make life even harder. And I'm seeing the same concern in the chat right now from so many of you who say the website is confusing, the phone lines are stressful, and face-to-face communication is the only way you feel confident that your issues are being handled. Meanwhile, the Social Security Commissioner recently reported that the agency has been making progress in reducing wait times and backlogs. The national 800 number wait time has reportedly dropped from 28 minutes down to around 15 minutes, and offices say the average wait time for scheduled appointments is now about 6 minutes. They also cut down disability claim backlogs significantly from last year's peak. The commissioner's goal is to expand to 200 million online Social Security accounts, which is another push toward digital access. But even with improvements, seniors who live on limited incomes continue to struggle. They're watching these changes and wondering how they'll adapt, especially those who don't have computers, who don't trust online systems, or who simply feel anxious trying to manage everything digitally. Seniors deserve systems that meet them where they are, especially after a lifetime of paying into Social Security with the promise that these benefits would be accessible and reliable when they needed them most. There are also 2 new proposals that recently passed the House, and both are tied to Social Security. The first is the Claiming Age Clarity Act, which is meant to help seniors better understand their retirement choices. The second is the Social Security Child Protection Act, which would allow children under 14 to receive a new Social Security number if their original one was stolen, instead of waiting until they become victims of fraud. Many people have shared their own childhood experiences where relatives or strangers used their Social Security number, only for them to realize years later when they tried to get credit or a phone line. These stories are far more common than people think, and for seniors dealing with decades-old identity theft, this proposal brings up painful memories of trying to clean up credit messes that were never their fault. These new measures aim to address long-standing issues, but as always, seniors are questioning whether the changes will be enough, whether the systems will really protect them, and whether these policies will prevent them from encountering the same frustrations they've dealt with for years. As all of these updates unfold, seniors across America are feeling the weight of every change. They're watching Social Security try to modernize, watching SNAP rules shift, watching proposals move through Congress, and trying to figure out what all of it means when they're already stretching every dollar just to survive. Retirees who worked hard their entire lives are still asking how they're supposed to keep up when the cost of groceries climbs faster than their benefits, when housing costs continue to break records, and when every change from Washington feels like another hurdle. And here in the Truth Lens community, we listen to every story, every struggle, and every voice, because these updates aren't just headlines, they're real life for millions of seniors who deserve stability, respect, and economic security after a lifetime of contributing to the very system they now rely on.